The United States is now under more pressure than ever from China. Yes, the United States and China are now seeing increased tensions, not just because this war between Russia and Ukraine. It's not because the war between Israel and Hamas. It's actually because of other countries. We are now seeing increased tensions, and this is something that experts say is not going to stop anytime soon, or at least until one of two things happen. That China reunites Taiwan with mainland China, or they overtake the Philippines. Yes, these are two of the things that they're discussing at this time, both of which would involve the United States. So, I want to address what's going on there, why we are seeing tensions so high across the entire Indo-Pacific, and what the United States' role is in all of this. So, all I ask is one thing, takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So when it comes to increased tensions, there's a lot of things that we can discuss. We can discuss Russia and Ukraine. We could talk about Israel and Hamas. Or we can talk about Iran against the United States. Or potentially we can talk about Yemen and the Houthis attacking people and ships in the Red Sea, which now has called the United States into action. Here's what we know. The Red Sea Task Force, it has been created. It is growing. However, we don't really know how it works. And this is one thing I want to read. I want to explain what's going on because a lot of people are questioning, what is this even for? Why are we seeing this? And does this really, or is it really necessary? Well, here's what I can tell you. Right now, so here's the Red Sea right here. Okay. The problem is we're getting attacks from the Houthis in Yemen right here, which is very close to the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. Now, this little strip right here, this corridor, it's about 18 miles long. That's it. Okay, or 18 miles wide. It's very narrow. And that's part of the problem, is they are able to attack commercial ships going in and out of the Red Sea. Again, this is part of the problem. One thing we know, though, is that there are supposedly 19 countries that have agreed to be part of this this group. It's called Operation Prosperity Guardian. Now, I want to read what the Air Force Major General Pat Ryder told reporters the other day. He says, it's very important to understand that Houthis aren't attacking just one country. They're really attacking the international community. They are attacking the economic well-being and prosperity of nations around the world. So in effect, they've really become bandits along the international highway that is the Red Sea. The forces assigned to Operation Prosperity and Guardian will serve as a highway patrol of sorts, patrolling the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden to respond to and assist as necessary commercial vessels that are transiting this vital international waterway. That's what they had to say. Now, the problem, some countries do not want to jump in on this. So, this is what we learned just the other day as well, is that Australia is rejecting the United States' request to join the Red Sea naval operation. Again, that's a problem because they are right there. Okay, and I'll read you a statement from them in just a second. But if we look at the map, okay, and see how close Australia is, here's Australia here. Well, the Red Sea is right here. So you can see how close we actually are. That's why Australia says they have to be somewhat concerned with that. But listen to this, okay? I want to just read you this statement. Or we can see this right here. It says Australia has rejected a U.S. request for a warship to help protect international shipping lanes in the Red Sea, with Defense Minister Richard Marles saying the nation's strategic focus had to remain on the Indo-Pacific. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. Here's the Indo-Pacific. You can see it right here. Okay, this is it, which Australia is sitting right in the middle of. But their concern is actually this. Okay, this is their concern. We got the Philippines right here. We have Taiwan. We got China. This is their concern because of what's going to happen here. And that's what I want to discuss, because this is what could potentially pull the United States into this entire mix. Because what we have been hearing is that China is going to put more pressure on the Philippines and on Taiwan. We know China is doing certain military drills that are putting, looks like they're putting more pressure on Taiwan. We heard from President Xi Jinping, and he told President Biden straight up during the summit that Beijing will reunify Taiwan with China. He did not give a timeline, so we do not know exactly when. But according to Pentagon officials, they say this is going to happen sometime either in 2025 or 2027. So let's think about that for a second. In 2024, we have a presidential election. And a presidential election, for one, is going to be big. If China tries to reunify Taiwan in 2025, this could be the president's first, real action in 2025. So you think about that. If we have the same President Biden, does China decide to try to reunify Taiwan? They could. And this is where some are speculating that this might be a big move from China, because if it's President Biden, well, he's shown over the past handful of years what he's capable of doing with Russia and Ukraine. Right now, Ukraine's struggling because they need additional funding, is what we're being told. But at the same time, Russia, all the United States did was place sanctions on Russia. The problem is China continues to buy, Russian goods, so Russia's still doing quite well. Like they're not doing as well as they were in the past, but they're still doing quite well. So this is just again, sanctions. This is all the United States is probably going to do. Now, if it's former President Donald Trump, does China decide to reunify Taiwan with mainland China at that time? Some say that President Xi Jinping from China would be foolish to go up against former President Donald Trump. But again, we don't know. That's something that only time will tell, and who knows if it even happens. Now, that is Taiwan, though. Here's the issue today. China vows to keep up military pressure on the Philippines as territorial dispute grows tenser. I want to just read you a little bit of this as well. It says China's foreign minister, Wang Yi, says the country will maintain military pressure on the Philippines amid a dispute over sovereignty in the South China Sea that could involve U.S. forces defending their treaty partner. Yes, their treaty partner. Again, the United States, we do have a treaty with the Philippines, and what we know is that first off, the United States and the Philippines. The Philippines is our oldest ally in the Indo-Pacific. I believe it goes back to, I think it's like 1950, 1951, something like that. I believe it's 1951. That's when they first signed it. So, yes, they are our oldest ally in the Indo-Pacific. It also goes on to say China claims sovereignty over virtually the entire South China Sea, one of the world's most crucial waterways for shipping, putting it at odds with the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Brunei, who all maintain claims over the islands, reefs, and undersea resources in the region. Let me show you where the South China Sea is, so you can kind of get an idea. Here it is. Here's the South China Sea right here. Okay, so obviously you see Vietnam, you see the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, you see Australia down here, and then you got China up here. Right here, Taiwan. Okay, this is the reason why it's such a big deal, right? Because everything that's coming from this area, okay, from China, Vietnam, Thailand, right, the Philippines, Taiwan, all this stuff right here that gets transported over here past Hawaii, okay, and most of it is coming right about here to the southern part of California. This is a big deal, okay? This is a big, big deal. This is why China really wants to protect the South China Sea. because they understand how important it is. But again, what we continue to hear is that China is threatening countries in the South China Sea. They're putting more pressure on Taiwan. Okay, and of course they are. They're right there, putting more pressure on the Philippines right here. And the United States wants to step up and protect both of those countries, of course. But by doing so, it's going to put more pressure on the United States. It's going to put more pressure on President Biden and the U.S. military. Right now, the U.S. military is very stretched. Okay, we're very stretched. And one of the reasons why we're very stretched is actually pretty simple, because of what is going on in other countries. For instance, right now, here's the South China Sea, and we have ships over here in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. We got ships really all over the place. But again, we also are trying to ensure that Russia doesn't overtake Ukraine right here. So again, that's a problem, right? We don't want Russia taking over Ukraine, being closer to Poland and Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, right? All these other countries. Why? We just don't need it. So, here's what I can tell you. We are talking about additional sanctions again. Senator Lindsey Graham says he'll draft sanctions if China tries to invade Taiwan. Now, I want to read you what he says. He says he will work with both parties, and he will create a robust defense supplemental for Taiwan, and second, draft pre-invasion sanctions from hell to impose on China if they take action to seize Taiwan. He went on to add, to communist China, if you think you can bully your way into destroying world order without consequences, you will be making Putin's decision to invade Ukraine look wise. Interesting. That was a statement. So, that's where we're at this time. There's a lot of questions going on. There's a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of it has to do with China. What is China doing, and how is this going to pull the United States in? Because all experts anticipate the United States will be involved in some way. We just don't know at what capacity. So that's what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back and share all the latest news and updates. But that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.